All right, welcome to Let's Talk Games, episode 3. Hope you're enjoying your isolation, whether you're by yourself or with others. You can isolate with other people, you know. It's quite healthy. Have sex. Spend it with three fine boys like us. To my left, we have Dan. How you going?
Good. That's an interesting segue.
And to my right, we have Jamie. How you going?
Three fine boys have some sex.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a weird opening, mate, but all right, fair enough.
Look,
yeah,
it's 2020, locked up by myself for way too long. And I'm Uncle Chunt. Let's just do this. Hey, let's just start. Get right into the games. What have you been playing?
I'll go first then. While Chunt gathers his thoughts about three boys after his quarantine time. I have played nothing new this week. I tried to play Rage on PC, Rage 2. It's in the Xbox Game Pass for PC, and it wouldn't let me pass the end user license agreement, so that was short-lived. I tried it 3 or 4 times.
So you rage
no
quit?
Dice. So yeah, it clearly didn't want me to get involved. Dan, don't make your rage joke again. I can see you waiting to make it. It was bad the first time around. This is take 2, by the way. We had some technical difficulties. Yeah, other than that, I played a bit of Iron Banner in Destiny. That's back for the first time this season. Just played a few games. I don't know. I think my Destiny peaks happened. I think it's going into its lull mode again, which I'll probably do for 6 weeks or so, and then come back and bite me hard in the arse again. But yeah, nothing other than trying to do that. Bit more of Ori. Yeah, almost to the end there of the definitive edition of the first one. So then it'll be on to Will o' the Wisps after that.
Rad, man. Very good.
Yeah. So I've been playing Alien Nation this week, trying to play new games every week. This is by a company that created Resogun and Dead Nation, Housemarque. They're known for doing their little twin stick shooters. It's a great game, and what I was saying just before is that it's got this mixture of like Bungie aesthetics, like your Halos or your Destinies. You've got your Doom lore, and you have like your Gears weapons, and minus the chainsaw. And it's just so much fun. It's a great gameplay. Like the difficulty builds up in a really, really natural way, and I've just hit a spot where I'm like, wow, this is really difficult, and I need to take a break. And then on top of that, my partner just bought a Switch this week, or I bought her a Switch.
Yeah, I was going to say,
depends on who you talk to.
Take credit. Take the credit.
It depends on who you talk to. And so she's been playing Animal Crossing. So Animal Crossing, a game where you just live just on this little island by yourself or with a couple of people. So in isolation. Essentially. Yeah. So then I went and started playing Sims 4 on the PlayStation while she was playing Animal Crossing.
No way.
So that was actually really fun. And then once I got out of the tutorial, I kind of hit a wall, and I was like, I can't spend all my time doing this. And it actually lags a bit on the PS4. But those are my games for the games for the week.
Wow, playing life simulators in isolation. That's good. Well, mine's not quite as exciting, but I finally finished Doom 2016.
Woo!
Oh, my God. That's an excellent game. I quite enjoyed my time with that. The last boss took me a couple goes because it just cheaped me out on ammo. Like I came in full ammo, and apparently you're supposed to be able to get ammo regenerated during the fight. And there was twice when I was fighting the guy, the big spider demon thing, where just no other ammo was generating. So I'd run out of ammo, and he's still got like a quarter of a bar left. I'm like, all right, what am I going to do here? And there's no other way to get it, so I had to die. But I thoroughly enjoyed that. I'm so excited to get back into Doom Eternal, or get into it straight after this, because I'm just a bit hyped up on it. But I will say, though, if it's not just me, I had to play that game in short bursts, man. Like 45 minutes or a chapter, and then I'd have to just walk away because it's just too much. Like, it's just so much. It's not just your normal run and gun shooter. You got to think about the different enemy types and your weapons, and jumping around the map, and just I I don't know. It's just hectic, man. I'm just getting old, maybe. I don't know. But after that, I needed some kind of calm down game, so I just hooked straight into Viva Pinata, and man, like what a change that was. And I got lost in that game for 3 hours that night. I didn't realize how much time had passed, as the way when you're indoors all the time at the moment. And before I knew it was past midnight. Gee, right, all right. And I've built my garden and I've expanded it, and I've murdered a lot of pinatas, and I've made some have sex in enforced enclosures, and it's been all right. And yeah, so that's my gaming experience lately. Bit of a mixed
So you've
bag.
been playing life simulators as well, just pinata ones.
Yeah, sounds insane, man.
It's
Weird.
Chunt after a month of isolation.
Oh yeah,
He's just become a
can
pinata.
see-
Like he's dressed
Yeah.
as one.
And it's only been a couple of weeks too, like far out. Well, my first week working at home, really, and I'm already starting to feel the symptoms of isolation. But it is what it is. But yeah, cool. Well, we'll just move right in without any segue. Talking about games, we'll start with we've had a long generation, I think, relatively long generation of this Xbox One and PS4 generation, Switch not included because it does its own thing. And a lot of games have come out, a lot of disappointments, a lot of fantastic classics. I think we will top 5 this bitch. So,
Love top fives.
oh my God, yeah, top 5 it. So we'll go, I think we'll start with Dan, because I know you had a bit of difficulty figuring this one out, because you have a PS4 in your life and there's so many great games on it. It must have been so difficult to just pick 5. So if you would like to lead the charge on this one, what's your top 5 of this generation?
Well, I'd pick an Xbox One if I could.
Bullshit.
All right, so I'm just going to do these in alphabetical order because it's less stress on our lives at this point in time.
Smart.
So the first one I'm going to lead off with is God of War. Came out in 2018 by Santa Monica Studios. I'm just going to talk like really quick 3 interesting things about the game, and then we'll move along. So the first one is it was kind of Santa Monica growing up. The old God of Wars were great at that time. Like I love God of War 3, but the gameplay is so different. But it's them kind of growing up, kind of like Naughty Dog and Sucker Punch have. I want to do actually a video on the channel at some point about like with Naughty Dog, when you watch their franchises go up, you go from Crash Bandicoot to Jack and Daxter to Uncharted, then to The Last of Us. Like you actively see the studio growing up. Same with Sucker Punch. You get your Sly Cooper, your Infamous, and now you're getting your Ghost of Tsushima. And this is kind of Santa Monica's version of that, where they've got Corey Barlog, the director, coming back from directing the second God of War, and you can see that there's just things happen in his life that he's grown up. I think he had a kid, and that was a lot of his inspiration. And so I kind of like it for that. I think it's amazingly balanced. I think using the different weapons and having the axe you can throw and other weapons you get throughout the game, and I think it's also done something in the industry where you see when people are talking about the franchises they love and they're like, let's God of War this franchise, which just means keep what you have, but change everything that doesn't matter. I think that's a really big thing, and that stuck with me through that time. Next game.
Hell yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain. So for a brief history lesson, I've only ever played Metal Gear Solid 4 before this game. I did not even finish this game, but I loved it so much. The gameplay loop was awesome. There's only, from where I left off, there was only 2 maps to do, but because the maps are so varied and the gameplay loop is so much fun, and building your mother base and just getting guys there, trying to get the best guys back at your mother base. Not for me, I didn't even do anything really with the mother base because I know there was a gaming technique where you could go infiltrate other people's mother bases and all that. But I found out that if you don't do that, your other people won't come and infiltrate yours. So I never touched anyone else's. I was just building up a mother base, and that was it.
Is it actually called Mother Base?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Never heard that used before. It just sounds funny. Mother Base.
And it's just a toy box full of just different characters and varied locations, and it was just so much fun. I just had a lot of fun.
Nice.
Let's move down to R for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh god.
Loved Red Dead Redemption 2. This game has still stuck with me. I still listen to the soundtrack almost every second day. I really like the first Red Dead, but the first Red Dead, to me, what I always used to describe, and it was a positive, I used to describe to people, I'm like, oh, Red Dead is like GTA, but with horses and in the West. Yep. And I really liked it for that. But this is the first time where I played Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm like, this is not just GTA. This is a whole different beast. It's its own thing, and that's why I really like it, because it kind of came into its own game. It wasn't just a different location for something they already did. I'm going to spoil it a little bit. Did you guys play Red Dead Redemption 2?
Not
I've
to the
no
finish.
inkling to do it either.
I think I'm about 3 hours in, and then I was just like, this is too much of a commitment for me right now. When it came out, when was its release date? I feel like it was early.
It's like October 2018.
Was it October? Oh, yeah. So I'd literally just moved countries and was trying to like re-get on my feet, and it was just not the time to be sitting and investing in that game. But I enjoyed what I played of it. But yeah, I got nowhere near. I think I'm through the first chapter of the whatever it is. I basically got off a train. I did a train heist and shot some people.
I remember.
That's it.
Good heist.
I didn't really get much further than that.
All right. So this is some minor spoilers, but it happens about midway through the game. So what happens, because during the game, you eat food to rejuvenate your health. You can have a smoke, whatnot, and your character, will have a cough, and then at some point you collapse just while you're walking at any random time, and you get taken to the doctor, and it's. They tell you that you have your character Arthur Morgan has tuberculosis. Oh. And what was really cool about that, because what happens is, like in most games, to increase difficulty, games will just either throw more things at you or create more different varied enemies and then throw them to you in different ways. Because Red Dead's not that type of game, what it does is when you get tuberculosis, your health actually starts to deteriorate over the time of the game. So when you're getting into these gunfights, you actually can't take as many hits because your health can only go up so much. And I just thought that was a really, really clever way of combining the story with like how your character was actually acting in the game. And there'd be times you'd come out of a mission, and because he was so sick, Arthur would just be sitting on a rock and just heavy breathing. And you'd try and move him, and he wouldn't move for like 10 seconds. And then finally you'd move him, and he'd just gingerly get up, and then you'd keep going. And there's stuff like that where I just
sounds like fun.
I loved it.
It's like fucking hard work.
It's freaking great. And the last one thing about that is the supporting characters in this. Like there were so many of them are just more memorable than I remember the first Red Dead. Like Red Dead has really like great highs that you remember, like the ending and stuff like that. But the supporting characters in this, like Charles and Sadie, and learning more about John Marston and his family, if you want to call it that. It was really, really great. All right.
Lovely, Dan. Lovely.
Thank you. So 2 more. So now I'm moving on to Spider-Man. Spider-Man might be the most fun gameplay I have ever played in any game.
This will be the one game that I'll be just immensely jealous of because I don't have the means to play
it. The fluidity of it and how quickly you get around. Like you have fast travel in the game. I used it once because the game forces you to use it. Then I never used fast travel ever because it's just swinging around was so much fun. It's an open world, but it doesn't feel too big. Like I think this might be the first open world game I might have ever 100%ed and bought the DLCs
nice.
and did the DLCs.
Awesome.
Just because you spend 25, 30 hours to finish it, but you can just keep swinging and just keep doing what you want. The story was great. I loved it being a Spider-Man that was older. He knows who he is, but he's just dealing with different stuff because he's an adult now.
It sucks, doesn't it?
It was good. Yeah, it was good to see. It was just good to see him in Peter Parker in a different scenario than what you normally see him in, and the characters are really well defined. So I'm excited for the second one.
Hell yeah!
Good purchase, Sony. So my very last one, and this is kind of it feels right in this moment, is Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4 is the best ending to a franchise I think I've ever seen. I know Lost Legacy came out after it, but in terms of Nathan Drake's story, the way it wraps everything up and makes you feel like this is his ending to his story, and having all the characters. There were moments when you first play it and you go, this segment goes for a bit long, but I've replayed it since, and because it's the end of this, it just kind of they just kind of sit you there and just let you just appreciate where it's come to.
Yep.
It had some cool interesting new mechanics like the rope and everything, but the reason I play Uncharted is because I want to play more Uncharted, and that's what it was. And it's still,
that's exactly right. You like this, you have more of it.
Yeah, and it's still like amazing looking. Even from a game that's from 2016,
definitely.
I still think it's one of the best. Now I do have honorable mentions, but I might leave those to the end until you guys do yours, so I don't steal them.
Fabulous.
So, on to you boys.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. And I think I'll save mine for last, and we'll go with Jamie because I'm very curious to know what you've got up your sleeve.
Throw me in. I didn't really order these. I know we were saying like it'd be quite difficult to then again think, right, these 5, and then what order would you put those 5 in? But weirdly, I think in my brain, while Dan was going through his, I've kind of done it. So I'm not going to do it in alphabetical order. I'm going to do it in 5 to 1 order. Although they're all fantastic. So I think at 5, I've got to go with Horizon Zero Dawn. It made me reacquire a PlayStation because I like the look of it. Do you know what I mean? It was like if there was 2 games from the PS4 generation that's been like, I need to own this console at least for the interim to play these games, it was Horizon and Persona 5. Horizon I played through in 2.5 days, so no lifed it, and
wow,
it was 2 very, like, you know, I think 2 13-14 hour sessions, around 30 hours I think my playtime clocked at it in that first sort of 2.5 days or so. And the world's phenomenal, the character is brilliant, you know, the whole strong female lead thing. I know it's been a massive thing this generation, but they really nailed it. They nailed it in terms of, you know, Aloy as a character. You see her from being a baby right through to becoming this like warrior, and you know, the one that everybody's looking to kind of salvage and solve that world's problems. She becomes the beacon of light, and the journey she goes on to get there is, it's memorable, and it's stuck with me since the first playthrough. So much so that when and I was talking to you guys about this, PlayStation Now's on PC, and I was like, I'll give this a crack. And it was the first game I booted up. I was like, I'll happily run through Horizon again. It's just PlayStation Now's a bit shit, so I'm not going to bother. I'll wait until, you know, the PlayStation 5 and the fingers crossed back compat that Horizon's part of it, and go through it again there, because I can't. That if they come out and say Horizon is the second game is a PlayStation 5 day one, I'm sold. Like, it really is right up there in terms of the best games I've played this generation.
Awesome.
Next, Witcher 3. I forgot that was this generation because it was quite, you know, what, 2014 Witcher 3?
15.
15? Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was 14.
Yep. Holy shit. It felt longer than that, eh?
Yeah, it felt longer away than that, but in terms of scale and kind of grandiose storytelling, nothing's better than it. I've not played anything better than it ever in my life that kind of tells you this story over 70, 80 plus hours and actively wants you to go off in different directions and explore the world, meet new characters, have weird sex with unicorns in the room. Like, it's just, it's quirky, but it's also so steeped in, you know, serious nature and politics and, you know, just how living in a world like that could be. The acting's phenomenal. It makes you want to come back. The characters are brilliant, and I'm pleased that they're doing something else in that universe after Cyberpunk, because by that point I think we're probably a decade removed from having a Witcher game, and it'll well be time to go back. Enough's been said about The Witcher over the years. I don't think I need to beat a dead horse with it, but it's definitely up there for me.
Beat a dead roach.
I'm going to break the rule that I didn't know we put in place. Beat a dead roach.
Dan.
Dad joke number 2.
It's early, all right.
Oh, mate.
Well
played.
I'm going to break rules here. And this I thought was probably going to be number 1. We never said that the Switch wasn't part of this generation. So
I'd say it is.
So would this game specifically, because it is. It was a next-gen title, although it came out on Wii U. But Breath of the Wild, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, again, it was another one I no-lifed for the best part of a week. I didn't leave that world, I just lived in it. And the Ocarina of Time is, you know, right up there in terms of, that's my top 3 games of all time, Ocarina of Time. It was the first game that I played through and was like, I love video games. Video games are my thing. Like, Ocarina of Time was that. And Breath of the Wild had an even more profound impact on me as an adult, in going, this is everything I remember about Ocarina of Time, but in the way that I consume games now. It was such a metamorphosis for the franchise, but at the same time, for me as a person, like, kind of going, I remember this game as being a kid, you know, Ocarina of Time, and the wonders of it, and they've managed to achieve that same feeling to me at the time, 25, 26 years old, going like, I've just come out of that experience thinking like I've just played the best game I'll ever play in my life. And it really does stick and resonate, which probably makes you think, what on earth are the next 2? Because that sounds like you probably haven't played anything better than that. And the other 2 are similar types of games that didn't really exist too much before this generation, and have died towards the end of this generation. Number 2 is Wolf Among Us, which I also didn't remember was this generation. And The Wolf Among Us was the first Telltale game I finished to the end. I didn't know anything about the characters or the source material really going. I knew it was loosely based on kind of comic books. I can't say I've ever read or engaged with the content. But Big B as a character, I was like, I like this guy. Like, he just takes no shit. Oh, when he's a wolf, this is great. The kind of throughput of a romance arc through it was brilliant. And then you're seeing kind of these fantasy fairy tale characters that you know from like nursery rhymes and like random, you know, kids plays and things from when you were younger. You know, you'd see them in a kid's pop-up storybook, and now all of a sudden they're in this like dark noir thriller. It was something else, and like actively waiting for the next episodes, because I played through it like in time. So it was like, oh, episode 4 of Wolf's out, amazing. 2 or 3 hours of an evening, you just sit, you get through it, and it's like, I want more. Which is why I'm so glad that even in Telltale's death, it's coming back. I thought that it was going to get shelved. You know, we got the announcement, season 2's finally coming, and then Telltale shut their shop. But so pleased that it's being kind of reworked and rebirthed by the team that worked on the original. So high hopes of that. And
so I'd like to point out, just in case anyone comments in the video feed. So it actually came out 11th of October 2013. So just before the new consoles came out. But by the time you did the episodic stuff,
the episodic
and if
series
you played
finished,
it, and if you played it on the new consoles, then it counts.
Yeah, 100%. And it finished this console generation, because I think it took them 2 years to finish the whole series.
Something like that.
And number 1, Life is Strange.
Well,
because
beautiful.
A video game has not. The first 2 episodes are very tough to get with. The first episode, you kind of have to go, right, this is the direction they're going in terms of the vibe. Like, this is the high school cliches are all there. The kind of bad puns and what do you call them, kind of words that they're using as teenagers. It's like trying to be hip and cool, but not really. And once you get past that and actually start looking into the story they're trying to tell, and the focus on friendship and how, you kind of go to the ends of the earth for somebody, but would that be at the detriment of the greater populace or a greater group of people? How does your one relationship kind of impact that? And the way that kind of unfolds, I've never experienced anything like it in any form of narrative, and it really hits home a couple of times. There's themes around euthanasia and other elements, and they're genuinely hard, genuinely like stump you. And I've never ever been sat there, the kind of storytelling episodic games where you've got the timer counting down for you to make your choice, and you put in that life and death moment. It's like, do you euthanize this person or do you allow them to live kind of impaired for the rest of their existence? And it's like, well, what what the hell? I've got like so little time to make this decision. And that episode specifically, I believe it's 3, it may be 2, it's 2 or 3, so it's kind of midway through kind of what's going on. And from there on, I was just like, I really just need to see where this goes. And even the twist at the end is it's brilliant. Like, and I haven't honestly had a better experience this generation at all than the first season of Life is Strange.
You really got on me when we played that in at that time, because we both had the different endings. And
we did get we chose the different endings,
yeah. And you were like, how could you do that? That was hilarious.
No, it's something that I think anybody who likes story-driven video games should invest in. I think now if you played through episodes 1 to 5, you're looking at maybe 15, 16 hours. But well worth it. And it's probably free on PlayStation Now or Game Pass. It'll be free somewhere. Play it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I might give that a look at. There's something I've always been intrigued in. It's because I keep hearing about the same kind of responses like you guys have had.
Yeah,
it's just
it brought me to tears on 2 occasions, like openly. Not video game wise, I can't ever think of a game prior to this having that much of an emotional impact on me. But yeah, it left me with the tears in my eyes a few times.
Gears of War did that to me.
Is that your number 5, Chad?
No. My number 5, we'll just hook straight in. I have to say it's Arkham Knight.
Yeah, nice.
My God, that game, I nearly 100%ed it. I just missed, I think, 5. I just couldn't get 5 Riddler trophies or whatever. Just couldn't get them. And I 100%ed everything else on the map. I played the shit out of this game. I even got the Batman vs Superman DLC for it, so I'm running around as Batfleck in his Batmobile, just living life like I want to. And that game was just so dark, so gritty, and just meaty as hell. The only thing why it's so low on my list is the tank battles. I think they just really did that, but that's a well-known documented story that everybody feels the same. But otherwise, what an ending to a series.
Yeah,
it left it just amazingly, and still opened doors for something else. And people, were talking about it for months or a couple of years afterwards about what was that ending, what happens. And I think that's a great way to end it. It's not just here it is, tied up, done. It's like the legend of Batman lives on in some form.
If those tanks hadn't been there, it'd have been in my top 5. The tanks, they ruined the game for me.
The tanks are actually fine. They're just
how frequent they are.
Overly, it's overly too much.
But too much.
But I actually think it felt good. There was just too much of it. But the game is like just more Batman. Like it's just more Arkham.
Yeah, exactly. Like my brother was umming and ahhing between a couple of games recently, and Arkham Knight was on the list of a few of the games, and I felt bad because I was like talking it up to him, going, "You got to play it." Like he just came off Spider-Man 100%ing it, whatever, and he goes, "I want something else." And I played the other 2 Arkham games ages ago, and I was like, "Oh, was talking the game up, but at the same time, I'm like, mate, you're really gonna hate those tank battles, you know. And I hate that that's part of the conversation when you're trying to convince someone to get the game, because I feel obligated to tell them that this is a bad part of the game and to be prepared for it. So that sucks. But and it's DC fanboy, and sticking with that. Another game I was I just got wrapped in, and like fighting games. I love fighting games. I'm not like a massive player, or I don't play every single fighting game, but Injustice 2 came out and just knocked my socks off. And man, like I played the shit out of that more than any other fighting game this generation.
Yep.
I couldn't believe how good it was. It was stunningly gorgeous. The story mode was just the movie was like, why can't we put this on the big screen? You know, it was epic and huge and like dark and you know, serious, but still has the DC light in there. And I just ate it up, man. And I just played all the DLC for it. I didn't really have a problem with the loot boxes. You know, I was a bit hypocritical. That was my kind of, you know, my cheat of like, all right, my hall pass, you can have that. Do that to me, I'll take it. And you know, I didn't mind getting the gear and the challenge. Like I would find myself logging in every couple of days or whatever and doing some of the randomly generated challenges that appear every day or whatever, and hunting for loots and all that kind of shit. That's something I just didn't expect myself doing. Granted, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much if it wasn't Injustice 2. That was my gateway because it was DC related, but and I love the first one so much. But yeah, it still stuck with me to the point where I was like, yep, that was excellent, and can't wait for. I don't know what they're going to do with Injustice 3 if they do one, because that ending, man, depending on which one you got.
But I don't think it's just Injustice. I think NetherRealm from the start of the generation to the end, even with Mortal Kombat, like they've just upped their game on both franchises. Like
they set the standard, man. They've got the gold standard. Anytime I play a fighting game that's not one of theirs now, it's like, man, like come on, pick up your game. But I'll move right in. I don't want to drag on that too much because I think most people will hear, and others that have played it know what I'm talking about. Number 3 is a recent one, and it was a welcome surprise. I was a bit apprehensive on it at first, but there's Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Now, I played that nonstop, constantly. It rarely left my TV screen. I just indulged myself in it. I finished every side quest. I did all the story campaigns. I'm now waiting for just the DLC stuff. What an experience! Like as a Dragon Ball fan, or particularly Dragon Ball Z, it was just refreshing to be living in that world for a good, 40, 50 hours or something. And replaying all the fights, it wasn't like the tried and boring kind of routine of all these other Dragon Ball games that come out where you just play the fights over and over. It's the same fights over and over, but this one does it differently, where you're playing an RPG type model and you're flying around the world. It's all free roam in these different hub worlds and shit, and you're talking to random characters and like real deep cut characters that I was like, holy crap, totally forgot about that character. Like that was forgotten. And it even introduces and ties in some missing plot points of like, well, what was that person doing during that saga? And you know, you can find them on the map and you randomly talk to them and it opens up another mission and stuff. And man, I really dug it. And I found myself just wanting to grind my levels and you know, train in the training rooms, all that kind of stuff. And as a Dragon Ball fan, I don't know, Dan, I don't think you're much of a Dragon Ball fan, but Jamie, you've never played or never really got much into Dragon Ball, you mentioned. But I think my initial review thoughts on this game was like, yeah, look, it's not a great place to start if you're not a Dragon Ball fan. But at the end of it, I started appreciating it a lot more. And I still believe that if you're not a fan going into it, you might not appreciate it as much. But goddamn, will it be a great way to open yourself up to the anime. It's just one of those shows that I grew up on that stays with me still. And you know, I'm getting the Blu-rays for the newest series, Dragon Ball Super, and this game helped me get right back into that again. And it was going to be 3 or 4, but I think 3 just because I've always wanted this type of Dragon Ball game. Like the Game Boy Advance games came out for Legacy of Goku 1 and 2 and Boo's Fury. They did a trilogy of like top-down RPG, like I don't know, like Secret of Mana, or like you're walking around fighting people and stuff on the map, like little chibi characters walking around and stuff. And I always had a chat with friends over the years of going, oh my god, every time a new console would come out, it's like, oh, why can't they just remake Legacy of Goku and today's graphics and massive open world stuff? And now they've finally done it, and it's it's one of those games that I always wanted, and it finally happened. So it had to be in my top 5 at some point. Now that my next two, I had some discrepancies with myself on figuring out which order these are in. I'm trying to tell myself this is in no actual order, but it is. 2 would have to be Gears 5, I think. Now, it might sound like a cop-out for those that know me that I'm a massive Gears fan, and duh, it's going to be on there. But literally, that campaign, I just lived it that weekend. That's all I did. I just solid like one day. Oh crap! I can play Gears 5 again and just continue the campaign. I was like, oh, cool. I should go to bed again now that I'm done. I loved it. It had me, man. Like, it's the re-entry into that world that I wanted that Gears 4 didn't really give me. And I felt more like, yeah, this is more of the meat that I wanted. And the characters, they all felt a bit more fuller and developed. The world has expanded like a lot. A lot of the old characters. Game? Oh, mate. Tied with 3, I think. Gears of War 3 is like the pinnacle of that series. Granted, it's the first trilogy and it just apexed, but it's a tie. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed 5. It's a long campaign. It's the longest and biggest campaign out of all the games. So it's not one that I can just run through on a day like I used to do with the original games. But I don't want to say anything in case I spoil something in the campaign. But yeah, it even had some of the moments that I remember and treasured from the first trilogy that not like rip-off moments, but just moments that made me jump or made me go, oh, that's a memorable moment, and I can't wait to just get some games out of the way so I can go back and play through the campaign. Like, Jamie and I have been trying to do the campaign co-op for a while, but Xbox reasons and PC reasons and time reasons, it's just doesn't happen.
I've got it installed now. I reinstalled it last weekend after we tried, and it wouldn't let me in. It seems to work, so we can go. Oh, nice,
cool. We'll line that up. Yeah, sweet. So yeah, man, very keen to hook back into that. So the first one, it's my number one because nostalgia has a big part to play in it, but it's also just how does this exist after so many years of fans asking for it, and how well executed it was, and just how much it blew me away. And that's Sonic Mania, man. Like, that's my number one of this gen. And yeah, it's like a 32-bit looking game, but my god, it's just I'm one of those Sonic fans that I can't move past Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles. That's just the Mega Drive generation of Sonic games, and it just never was as good when they tried to go 3D from Sega Saturn onwards. With Sonic Blast and blah 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 blah. Ever since, it's just in the modern Sonic, like it has its place and kids have grown up on it, but I just can't. I'm trying. I've been playing through the modern Sonic games at the moment. Actually, Sonic Adventure 1 was actually one of the other games I forgot to mention at the start here that I've been playing, because I'm trying to appreciate modern Sonic, because if he's it, I like Sonic and I want to play Sonic games, I have to force myself into a point where it's like Stockholm syndrome, where I just have to fall in love with this warden of my prison. So when this Sonic Mania came out, it's like, far out, this is a Sonic 4 that we've all been asking for. Those of us that like this retro Sonic, they actually did make a Sonic 4 game titled Sonic 4 Episode 1 and 2, but it used the modern Sonic designs, and it was made it just played like crap. It's just, no one speaks of it anymore. Even on the Sonic Mania intro trailer, when they come out of the elevator, it's got the, where you got floors in the elevator dial thing. It's got Sonic 1, 2, 3, and then K for Knuckles, and then Mania. Just skips over 4 completely. So it's like, nah, that's not Sonic 4. Forget about it. So this is technically the unofficial Sonic 4. But now, I don't know if you guys are much of a Sonic fan, much at all, or if you played Sonic Mania, but as a fan, long time, like, the music was excellent. It just looked bang on. It's like Sonic's never looked that good. The animations and the sprites are just fantastic. And I finished it. I bought it 3 times, right? I bought it on Switch digitally because the physical version was coming out at a later date. I ended up picking that up, and I ended up buying it digitally on Xbox One because I wanted the achievements for it. And then I ended up buying the collector's edition. No, you can't see it, but it has like a statue of Sonic, and he's standing on a Mega Drive. And that's probably about 4 or 5 times now. But I 100% of the game on both Xbox and Switch, and I played the absolute shit out of it. I loved it, man. So that it had to be my number one when I was talking to myself about this list. So yeah, that's me done. Fabulous. What a gauntlet that was. So I think
interestingly, we didn't have a repeat.
No, not one repeat.
It's good. I mean,
varied opinions.
Is there a game from each other's list that we want to play?
Spider-Man.
Mine's Gears.
Probably, yeah. I'd probably say Spider-Man as well, because I think, Chunt, most of yours I have played on Gears. We intend to get through Gears 5. We played the other 4 together, so we'll obviously do that. So yeah, probably Spider-Man.
Nice. Oh, you can play Gears on your PC, Dan, so go for it.
That is true.
You can just install Game
I have
Pass.
a couple honorable mentions I just want to shout out. I won't talk about them, but it's Inside, Hellblade, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Shadow Colossus. Yeah, they're my honorable mentions.
It's nearly a whole new list. You clearly had some difficulty picking.
Told you, once I went to 5, it got real hard.
All right. Well, talk about hard games to play. Let's talk about something that's overrated, because there are a lot of overrated games on this generation. I'm just going to get mine out of the way straight up because it's probably an easy dig. But I'm going to say Fortnite, just because I've tried to play it, and I've tried to play it with my nephews. I've tried to play it just on my own, just to kind of go, all right, this must be something to this that I'm missing. I gave it a few goes and just can't. I understand it. I understand what it's done. I appreciate what it's done, and I appreciate what it is. But to me, it's like I don't get it. I think it's just massively overrated. It was in beta for so long. It was just a mode of a game that was in beta for so long.
I think it still technically is. It's still technically in beta.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me, but I just think highly overrated, but I can appreciate it for what it is. What about you, Jamie? Do you have an overrated game?
Yeah, and you're probably not going to agree with this. Final Fantasy 15.
Oh.
I think because
interesting.
The building they did around Final Fantasy 15 for me, having the tie-in movie, and was it called Kingsglaive, the kind of little side-scrollery 2D thing?
Oh yeah, they had the game and then they had the movie and all that.
Yeah, so that mini game and the movie, which were before the game, were fantastic. That film was sick, and I was like, I can't wait to play this game and get involved. And I think I was at that hype level. I kept it through the first 3 or 4 hours, which, Chunt, I know you have played it. Dull as fuck. There's no other way of putting it. I played roughly 20, 25 hours or so of Final Fantasy 15, and I think it only started to get passable and not boring about hour 20. And by that point, I'd lost all enthusiasm for carrying on with what is, for all intents and purposes, going to be a 70, 80 hour commitment. So I fell away from it, and I know it's something that both you and I have said multiple times. I want to go back and actually finish it. But I think it looks crap as well, and that didn't help. You think how stunning the movie that went alongside it was. It's like, I know obviously that's rendered CGI animation. This is fantastic, but I remember booting into Final Fantasy 15 going, this is gonna look ridiculous. And even playing it on the Xbox One X, it still looks like a 360 PS3 gen game. The texture packs are not great. Apparently it looks pretty unbelievable on PC because it's got a further texture pack, but even there I can't. It's on Game Pass on PC, and I'm not going to bother installing it because I know it's something that I'll just install, play for 5 minutes and go, yeah, no way. So for me, sadly, I wanted it to be great, but I think I don't think it lived up to the hype at all.
I would agree with you on there in some regard. Like it was in development for so long, and it wasn't going to look current. I remember thinking the same thing of like, "Ooh, that hair's a bit jaggy. What's going on there?" Like everyone's hair is really jaggy.
It's
and
the
some of the
world
frame rate
around it.
issues.
It's the terrain, the actual landscapes that you're walking through as well. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But,
the least of my
like,
problems. If the gameplay and the moment to moment would have been great, fine.
True. Well, I know when I went back to it, when I bought the Royal Edition upgrade for the game, and it, just get everything. It unlocks everything and booted the game back up. And I don't know if it's because between when I was playing on the original Xbox One and Xbox One X, where I might have just been like, "Oh wow, this actually looks a lot better." Well, that's just how I remember seeing it. Mind you, I don't play PC games and all that kind of stuff to really know what a really nice game looks like. But I just remember going, "Oh yeah, they've actually upgraded this game, and it looks decent now." But yeah, I can agree. I was a bit disappointed at first when you just trudge around the desert for like literally just hours trying to figure out what you're supposed to do. But I'm up to chapter 5 in it when I stop playing it. But I do. It's on my actual like pin list. I've organized my Xbox pins of games in order that I'm going to go through, and it's my next big game to mark off. So I've done mine. So Dan, you've got an overrated game?
Yeah, so I actually don't have that many overrated games. I think coming off last gen, I kind of figured out where a good gauge of which games I would enjoy, and then so I don't waste too much money. So, but the one which was actually back in our Game Plug days was one of the first videos I did, the review for Until Dawn.
Oh,
Until Dawn, I appreciate like the butterfly effect that they create in that game, like how anyone can live and anyone can die. Just depends on how you play it. But I don't know if it was just the tone of the game being that old school 80s horror, and you have everyone is just a caricature of something else.
Everyone's hot.
It just really didn't sit with me. And like I just hated so many of the characters. I'm like, I kind of just want them to die, but then I don't get to really finish the game. Like, I don't really care about you guys. Like, it was nice that you had some actors in there. Like, I think Rami Malek is in it, the Oscar winner, like Rami Malek. So like parts of it were cool, but it was just so frustrating. And that's why the Supermassive have brought out that anthology series that they're doing. It's Median something.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make me want to jump in because I'm like, I don't know if I could just play game after game of these, caricatures. And so that was probably the most overrated one. The other ones I have, like in my honorable mentions, they're just games that are loved by everybody and I thought were really good games, and I understand why people love them. So they're not really overrated in the sense of what we're talking about. But yeah, Until Dawn is the one for me.
Fair enough. Cool. Well, we'll flip this on its head a bit. I'm going to just jump in for the most underrated game straight up. This will probably be like a what the hell to a lot of people, but Rise, Son of Rome, a launch game on Xbox One, highly underrated. Man, I really enjoyed that. I know the combat's probably a bit basic, but I really enjoyed the story. And at the time, I remember thinking, "Holy crap, this looks stunning!" And it still doesn't look too bad considering today's standard. And I was really hoping for a sequel or for this to be something. And just I think the issues that are behind the scenes that have been causing problems with that studio and the game and all that. Never going to see it, but man, yeah, that was my first wow moments of this current generation. I was like, wow, yeah, and it has some Kinect stuff in it where you'd call out, to throw some arrows or whatever, or you call out to your other warriors in the field and order them to do things during combat. That was fun for a moment, but otherwise, stunning graphics. The gameplay was cool. It was a bit quick timey, but it was around that era, where a lot of that was happening. But I would gladly go back to that again if they decided to, but I'm not holding my breath. But yeah, underrated for me, definitely. Jamie?
You see, I've got 3 here in underrated, and I was struggling to pick which one I think is the most. And I think it might be Titanfall 2. And
wow, big time.
Nothing to do with its multiplayer more than substantial. But the campaign that Respawn built is the best first-person shooter campaign I've played since Modern Warfare. The original Modern Warfare, not this current gen Modern Warfare. It's wicked. It's got a heart. It's got an actual story in it. The traversal's fantastic. The gunplay's fantastic. Everything about it is just on point. And, sending it out to die against Battlefield and Call of Duty was a big misstep on EA's part, because the campaign in itself is worth the price of admission. I know it's had some crazy sales recently where you've been able to get it for like $3 or $4. And
Yeah,
for the 8-hour campaign, that's more than worth it. And you can finish it in that. You can finish it in one sit, and if you really wanted to, two probably if you're gonna take your time a little bit with it. But so underrated. The other one that I had in there that I think probably is, I've got Life is Strange in there as well. I don't think it's appreciated anywhere near as much as it should be, but we've already spoke about that. Is Warframe, because how much game you get for free with that. I know again it sort of existed prior to this gen, but what it's become over the course of this generation for no admission price, it's unreal. For fans of looter shooters, things like that, it's an investment, but I don't think they get the praise they deserved. I think they're probably the gold standard in terms of looter shooters, and the fact that it's free just makes it all the more embarrassing for the others in that field.
Yeah, nice. God, I totally forgot about Warframe. That's a good pick.
So the way I defined my underrated was games that were either missed on or had a just bad word of mouth against it for no particular reason, but then I actually had a really good time with. So I actually think, so some of the honorable mentions, I don't think you mentioned it before, Chunt, with Arkham Knight, like the fact that you always have to say, there's these tank battles, and people are like, it's not a great game. It's like, it really is. Some of the other honorable mentions, Infamous Second Son came out really early in the generation. Hellblade, The Order 1886 gets shit on a bit too much. It's not a great game, but Mafia 3. But my one is an EA game. Mass Effect Andromeda is my most underrated game. When you read in comments, people saying, it's on sale for $10. Do you think it's worth it? I'm like, yes, it's worth it for $10. Like that game builds, it builds and builds and just keeps ramping up. The story is actually really cool. The characters are really diverse. I think it holds up close to the other Mass Effects. I think this is what they envisioned for the original Mass Effect, but couldn't do at the time. Like driving the Mako around feels really cool. Settling all these different planets is a great way to waste time, essentially. A couple of things that they didn't introduce enough new species. Like a lot of it is the same species, except for the villainous race that you go up against, and this one peaceful race that you befriend. But the rest of them are pretty much the ones you've already seen. So that I feel like that's where it kind of I would have liked to see more. But if you want to kill some time, I'd say it's an underrated game. Definitely.
I'd partially agree with you. I think it stumbled out of the gate, but the 25 hours-ish campaign, the campaign wasn't as long as other Mass Effects. You could finish the core story pretty quickly, I feel like. And I think that
the other Mass Effects took 30 hours. This one I think I took 40, but you could do it quicker. I was just having fun doing all the side missions.
A ton of side missions, yeah. I think you nailed the thing with it though, with the whole people maybe expecting something more than what they were maybe capable of delivering way back when. So it had this kind of reimagined. It was sort of a reimagined Mass Effect that was coming, and that's not what came. But I had fun with it. I finished the campaign. I enjoyed the campaign. The Mako crawling thing, not really my vibe, but the way it builds, again, I don't think it had a beginning, a middle, and an end. I think storytelling-wise, it was a bit bum. I think it has a beginning and an end, and the beginning just ramps to the end. It doesn't have a real chunky middle bit. which was good because it meant that it didn't draw out too long. And like you said, it got that relentless pace quite fast. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. If anybody asked me if it was worth $10, yeah, go play a 25-hour Mass Effect campaign.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll have to keep an eye out then next time it's on sale. I've seen it on sale for about $8 or $10 a number of times over the last few years, and I'm like, don't know, and I'll find something else. But I've loved Mass Effect, and it's always been one of those games where like, I just wouldn't mind getting back into that and playing a good sci-fi adventure like Mass Effect was. I thoroughly enjoyed that series. But well, if we're going to be locked in for quite a while, I might
It's
see
beautiful.
if it's going to.
It looks really, really. It's a really good looking game. Like really good looking.
Sweet. I'll definitely put that back on my to-do list then. Cool. So we hit through the top 5 most overrated, most underrated. That was pretty epic. I liked all the choices and discussions behind each of those games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we've got much left on the agenda for today. But is there any final words for today that we'd like to add for our audience, or just a personal note that we'd like to throw out there?
I don't think so. I think I was going to say, is there anything kind of newsworthy that's happened this week? But it's been quite quiet after last week.
Yeah.
Very.
I appreciate we got some comments in the YouTube video last week, so we appreciated the comments. That was good. Keep them coming. If they want to give us suggestions, that'd be good too.
Yeah, happy to see people engaging and appreciating 3 random people don't know having a conversation about something that they also share a passion with. That's the whole point of doing this. So yeah, it's great to see. And like I said, it's good to see the the retention time and everything after a few episodes getting better. So yeah, thanks to anybody that's watching, and please keep doing so. This will eventually go live. That's something that we need to touch on. Time zones are a problem at the moment because daylight savings, which is about to change this weekend. So fingers crossed we can get next week's episode actually recorded live.
Yes.
Again, as usual, links will be in the box below. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else to add.
Nice. Nice, good. Cool. All right. Well, as Jamie just touched on, you can see the links. They're on the screen right now on the top left and right. Basically, it's just Twitter at LT Gamescast and Mixer at Let's Talk Games. So follow us there. And if you feel obligated, please do follow us on YouTube as well, because we'll upload things there. And I'm at Uncle Chant, and we've got at Clemo_24 and at Jamie Nero. Follow us. And our antics on Twitterverse, I post all kinds of random shit, like suggesting I should go on OnlyFans because of the hard times. So throw your input on my post. I appreciate it. Yeah, I need it. I'm in isolation. I've got no one here. This is my main interaction. Please save me. So yeah, let's go out now. We'll get this uploaded and go chill out and do stuff and play games. And Jamie will organize Gears 5 at some point. Dan, get on some Gears on your beast of a PC that you should be doing. You ridiculous man. You have a beast. You should be playing that stuff.
I know.
Next time we talk, I want you to at least tell me I thought about installing Gears, and then the next week you can say I play Gears. Let's do that.
Slow build.
Right, boys. Take it easy. Love everyone.
See you, boys.
Ciao.